do we have the political will from the top to fight corruption? Apart from verbal support, lip service, that we abhor corruption, we want we are zero tolerant to corruption, etc., etc. There is no commensurate action to support the ACC. And we have seen, if you look at, for example, the 42 million fire tenders, there has been no comment from the president. What is he waiting for? If you look at the ambulances, there has been no comment from the president. What is he waiting for?
Order in the House.
Member for Kavumpo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, the Zambian public are becoming increasingly agitated, anxious, and to some extent jittery concerning some of the pronouncements being made by cabinet ministers in your administration concerning next year's elections, 2021 elections. In that they are claiming next year's 2021 elections will be a war, and that they are not prepared, that is, PF is not prepared whatsoever to hand over power to anybody. Now that is in public domain, Mr. Speaker. That is in public domain.
Let's have some order. Ask your question.
Considering that Zambia is a peaceful nation and is a democratic nation, such irresponsible pronouncements are very, very dangerous and are bound to cause havoc in this country. The question is, Mr. Speaker, could this be the reason why police, why your government is stockpiling military hardware and munitions in preparation for the perceived war and inability to hand over power to the next government? I thank you.
Honor the Vice President. Order.
Mr. Speaker, I do not recall any statement made by a PF official that this country will face war in 2021. I'm not aware. Maybe I've not read about it myself. However, Mr. Speaker, the issue of alarming statements should not come from leaders, whether on this side or on UPND side, because this country will face conflicts if we leaders do not tame our tongues. You remember, Mr. Speaker, that at the beginning, immediately after elections in 2016, there were pronouncements of Mapatija style. There were pronouncements of Armageddon, or whatever, however you pronounce it. And these are definitely not the type of language that we should use as leaders in this country. And if on this side, a member has expressed those sentiments of a war, that member will be asked to retract such statements, because we do not condone violence in PF and in this country. We are holding the power and we are running the state, so we cannot afford to have conflicts and disrupt peace in the country. On this side, I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You see, honorable members, how much time we lose with these points of order. The moment we allow them, then the floodgates are open. This is the last point of order.
Most grateful, Madam Chairperson. My point of order is pretty much urgent and needs serious consideration by the Chair. Honorable Chairperson, Now that we have completed the issuance of national registration cards throughout the Republic, that is mobile registration cards throughout the Republic, I'm wondering as to why the Minister of Home Affairs, who is in charge of this exercise, is quiet instead of coming to this house and briefing this August House as to how successful or otherwise this exercise has been by giving us the detailed statistics, province by province, district by district, and if possible, constituency by constituency. Is he in order, after such a major exercise, to keep quiet and not come to this August House and inform the members of Parliament and through them the nation at large? I need your serious ruling. I thank you, Madam Chairperson.
You can prompt the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs to give you that information through a question for urgent answer. That's my ruling. Simply file a question for urgent answer, and the Honorable Minister will be able to give you responses as you are requesting now through a point of order. I'm sure that you can use that facility. Mr. Lufuma?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, for the opportunity to say a few words on this very, very important vote. This is Ministry of Works and Supply. Unlike other ministries, the Ministry of Works and Supply is not considered much. But it has very, very important functions to perform. In the African context and culture, normally we do not have a word for maintenance. It's only repair that we talk about. Repair, 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 no maintenance. And so when we have a ministry like this, which is tasked to ensure that government public infrastructure is maintained, it is important that the ministry does its best to do exactly that. And it's important that they are allocated enough funds to ensure that government infrastructure is maintained. If you look around, if you go around, especially in the rural areas, Madam Chairperson, you'll find a lot of dilapidated infrastructure. And yet this ministry is there. Yet this ministry has been in existence for quite some time. Yet this ministry has been given funds or allocated funds to ensure there's maintenance works that goes around in various districts. But the unfortunate thing is that despite these allocations, the money or the funding is never released by the Ministry of Finance. Why? Because it is not considered, because in the African context, there's no maintenance, it's only repair. You wait until the building is down, that's when you come up and start repairing. You don't maintain it. So it's important that we inculcate a culture of maintenance in Zambia, because it will save us a lot of costs. Secondly, Madam Chairperson, and that is my substantive issue, basically, I would like to refer to the issue of pontoons. Assembly, I think one of the outputs of this ministry is to assemble and reallocate pontoons throughout the country. In Kabompo, we have a pontoon that was washed away, and it needs to be reallocated. I think we need to seriously allocate some funding to this activity in order to rescue this pontoon from downstream after a pontoon that is there at the council, which was, because of floods, was carried away. And we can reallocate it, Minister, to a place called Dondondo. Dondondo is a place where across Kabompo River, there's a lot of agricultural activities. It is actually an agricultural hub of Kabompo district. And year in, year out, these canoes, dug out canoes, are not sufficient. They cannot do the job of transportation of agricultural produce from one side to the other, and also transportation of fertilizer from the mainland to the agricultural place. And I think, Minister, would like to appeal to you to allocate some money within the budget that you have, within this output, to ensure that this small pontoon is pulled out, rehabilitated, and made operational at the place I've mentioned, which is Ndondondo. With those few words, Madam Chairperson, I would like to thank you.
Mr. Lufuma. Mr. Lufuma.
Please allow me to thank you, Madam Chairperson, for giving me an opportunity to have a bite at the Anti-Corruption Commission budget debate this afternoon. And without wasting time, I would like to paraphrase the policy statement of Her Honor, the Vice President. In her policy statement, which I just extracted, essentially, she says, it is an indisputable fact that corruption continues to rob this country of resources which could otherwise have been used and invested in the social and economic sectors of our economy for the greater benefit of all Zambians. This is as opposed to the individual. The Anti-Corruption Commission, Madam Chairperson, is a very, very important institution of good governance. Very important, because it states in its mandate that it should ensure that public resources are safeguarded and utilized again for the greater good and benefit of the people as opposed to the individual. But in order to execute this mandate, the ACC needs a lot of support. And the question is, what sort of support does the ACC require in order to execute its mandate? For me, there are 4 areas of support. One is exactly what we are doing right now, budget support. 72 million that has been allocated to the ACC. The question is that enough for them to be able to do investigations, to be able to do arrests, to be able to do the prosecution, and of course, attain conviction? That is the answer. And if you look at it historically, even up to now, in terms of allocations, the allocations have not been adequate for the operatives or for the institutions to carry out its operations in order or in fulfillment of its mandate. So already we have a deficit there. The second area of support is connected to the budget, and this is again concerning the manpower. They have to be trained, professional. They have to know investigative work, prosecution. Do we have a cadre that is trained and in enough quantities to be able to do this type of work? The answer is no. The third area of support is independence of the institution. It has to be independent of political interference, intimidation, threats that we have seen being thrown around by those people in power against the ACC when they want to do their work. This should stop. This should stop, and you know it. It has to stop in order for them to be able to carry out their mandate, because it's a constitutional mandate that you have given them as a country. The other area of support, Madam Chairperson, is political will. Do we have the political will from the top to fight corruption? Apart from verbal support, lip service, that we abhor corruption, we want zero, we are zero tolerant to corruption, etc., etc. There is no commensurate action to support the ACC. And we have seen, if you look at, for example, the 42 million fire tenders, there has been no comment from the president. What is he waiting for? If you look at the ambulances, there has been no comment from the president. What is he waiting for?
Order in the House.
If you look at various
Order.
corrupt practices.
Order, your time is up.